Hi, it's Mel. Happy 2015. Today I am filming my top 10 books of 2014. They aren't in any particular order. The first book out of my favourite books of the year is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is actually the first book that I read and finished in the year of 2014 and I loved it. If you don't know what it's about, which I highly doubt, it's about these two kids with cancer called Hazel and Augustus, and it's their love story and they bond over a book, and it's very emotional, and it's a movie with Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort. The next book that I have to show you is Miranda Hart, Is It Just Me? It's just like her talking to her 18-year-old self and being weird, and I really like this comedian. And I also received another book by her for Christmas, but it was actually just like a collection of scripts with notes and stuff of the TV show Miranda, which stars her as someone very similar to her but a lot less glamorous, and if you like her TV show then you'll definitely like this book, and I really enjoyed it. The next book is Divergent by Veronica Roth. This is a dystopian young adult first book in a trilogy. I've read the second one but not the third one. There's also a companion collection of short stories. In this dystopian world there are factions for like truthfulness and selflessness, and each faction has like a job to do. There's this thing called Divergent, which is where you don't actually fit in a faction, and the main character Tris, who's 16, is Divergent, and it's really interesting, and it's also been turned into a film. The next book is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This book is about a girl called Kath who has a twin called Ren, and they go to university but they're not together for like the first time ever, and she's a fangirl and she writes fan fiction about this Simon Snow and Baz, who are basically Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter, but we're not supposed to call them that because of copyright reasons. And it's very realistic in the characters and it's amazing because I was that girl. And there's this boy and it's very fun, even though there's some kind of not so fun bits, but it's a really good book and I loved it a lot. The fifth book is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. This is a book about a girl called Emmy who works on film sets, and her brother leaves her his flat for the summer to do something epic with, and they find a note in something that they got from a sale of all of this dead person's stuff, and it's kind of like a mystery, and I love the characters and the romance. This is definitely one of my all-time favourite books and everyone needs to read it immediately because it's amazing. The next book is We Will Eyes by E. Lockhart. This is a mystery about this girl whose family is really rich and they own an island, and every summer she goes to this island and she has a group of friends and something happens but you don't really know what happens, and some people say that it was predictable and that they were like, I know exactly what's going to happen, but I didn't find it that way. It's kind of different in the style that it's written in. It's a bit poetic at times and the characters aren't that likeable, but the story is really complex and interesting, but it's really good and I recommend it to anyone. In fact, I did recommend it to loads of people who have read it and then told me that they found it interesting. The next one is a book that I borrowed from the library, so I don't have it with me, and it's The Coldest Girl in Coal Town by Holly Black. This is a vampire story and it has all this lore about how vampires have been around for ages and then they only became popular in a more modern sense, and then if you get bitten you turn cold and it lasts for like 88 days when you get cold. If you bite a human during those 88 days then you turn turn into a vampire, and if you don't, which is kind of a hard thing to do, then you remain human. There are these cold towns where the government have shut down towns and put all of the cold people and the vampires, and some humans go there just because they want to go there for some reason, and they live stream it on the internet and the TV all the time. So there's like celebrity vampires, and it's a bit weird. It follows a teenage girl who went to a party and she wakes up thinking everything is okay because she slept in a bathtub in the bathroom, and she thought everyone in the house would be laughing, but then the house is quiet, and then she realizes that someone had opened the window in the night and hadn't closed it, and everyone that she knew was dead, and then she manages to kidnap a vampire because she thought it would be a good idea. It's not a good idea. The next book is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This is about a girl whose friend goes missing and leaves her a list of things to do that pushes her outside of her comfort zone, and they've always done that. They did it when one of them went on holiday, so they would have to do stuff in the city like find things, and some of the things on the list are like kiss a stranger, go skinny dipping and dance until dawn, and it's really cool how it plays out. She thinks that if she does everything on the list that she'll find her friend again, and it's really sweet how the friendships are, and it's a very summary book. I read it in a day, but I still got quite attached to the characters, and I recommend it. I think this would be good for some of the younger readers. The next book is one that I kind of had trouble with while reading. It's City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I did really enjoy it by the end, but during the middle I just had like, ugh, I don't want to read this. I thought it was gonna be amazing, but then it wasn't. It's about this girl called Clary who thinks she's normal, and she goes to a club and then she sees someone getting murdered in the club, and everyone's like, what is wrong with you? Because no one else can see the people that she can see, and then there's all the stuff about monsters and demons and shadow hunters, and it's just a big urban fantasy series with a companion trilogy, and I am currently reading the second book in this series. It feels like this series is kind of a commitment because of how many books it has, but I'm gonna try and read all of them anyway. The next book is one that I also had trouble with, and it was probably just because I read it during a readathon, so I had to read it as quickly as possible, and it wasn't going quick enough, and I had already seen the movie, so I knew exactly what happened, and that is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. If you don't know what this is, which is highly unlikely, it's about this dystopian world where everyone's divided into districts that all do things for the capital, which is all of the rich people in the weird fashion and stuff, and this book follows Katniss Everdeen, a 16-year-old from the District 12, which is the mining district, and her sister gets called for the Hunger Games, where a boy and a girl from every district put in an arena to fight to the death. Her sister gets picked, so she goes instead, and then there's all this stuff with the boy and then this other boy, and then trying to take down the government, and I'm on the third book in this series, and those are the 10 books of my top 10 books of 2014. Bye!